Tom, if you'd like to come up and tell us about your company.
Sure. Yeah, tough act to follow. But thanks for having me. I appreciate seeing the sponsorship and Roger's office and moderators. Harrison Global is a company that we're incorporated in 2014, and we make industrial oils from agricultural seed oil. And we had the technology developed to make those different products. Now, where we play best is with oil companies and mitigating the risk that they have to the environment. We thought that we would actually be at odds with them, but as it turns out, they're actually looking for solutions. And so we're getting invited into their board tables to actually help them mitigate the risk of environmental damage. Some of the figures that are here, it's a huge market in the US, 8.3 trillion. This is just in industrial lubricants alone, which is approximately 10 or 12% of the actual petroleum market. This doesn't enter into internal combustion oils. This is all industrial oils. So it's cleaners, metal working fluids, metal forming fluids, release agents, hand cleaners, penetrating oil like WD-40, and another 20 odd products. We're fortunate over the last couple of years to have taken a hiatus actually, because it was kind of, we were dog chasing a car. We really had some very good initial success. We had some sales in Europe in 2018, and in 2019 I found myself being brought to Dubai and Abu Dhabi because of their need to clean up their backyard and their awareness of that. As a result of that, we landed some very significant contracts, and then we got brought to Sub-Saharan Africa, where we again landed some very significant contracts. So right now, although they were put in a force majeure and they're resurrecting, so by the end of 2022, our contracts will come into play of about 150 million US. Now, these contracts are more about the technology than about the end products. So our technology, we call them an aeropod, and we're waiting for the lawsuit. Welcome to frequent listening. So the aeropod will produce approximately about 7,000 tons of product a year. So that equates to about 2 million gallons or 7.5 million liters. Gross revenues from that operation is in the range of 32 to 35 million a year. That's at a base averaging price of the end-use product. So the economies of scale are quite substantial. The gross margins, we follow the petroleum model, and they're quite good. Oil company knows how to make money. We just follow their lead. Along with the actual output, the mantra from day one was we had to have products that were non-toxic, non-caustic, and biodegradable. So all of our products, right from our hand cleaner, right to our industrial oil for OEM, they're all food grade. And we have certifications from National Science Foundation, the FDA, Health Canada, the European Chemical Association. The list goes on. So we're at a turning point right now, and this is why I want to speak, and I appreciate the NSBI bringing me here and providing me the opportunity. We have just landed a contract that's been enacted since I accepted this trip. So we're gearing up now to establish an operation in the US to service a contract for one of the 3 largest building products manufacturers in the world. It's a Swiss-based company. And so this is for a roofing product that we developed at their request. So it's proprietary for them. It is it's going to be a private label contract, but that market is worth about 125 million a year. So we'll be selling it through their warehouses. It's private label through them. So it's typical private label deal. But that's only one product. It's only one company, and we want to expand. So we want to move the rest of our 25 different products into market. We want to put the right resources and the right human resources in place to be able to capture the US market. And just as far as market goes, for perspective, if we were going to capture 2% of the global market, we would outstrip every ounce of seed oil that Canada could produce. It's a huge market. I've been fortunate enough to meet with a lot of governments in the EU. That was where we got our first traction, because they're a little further advanced than North America is as far as awareness goes. So I was fortunate to meet, for instance, with the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Industry with Poland, where they have millions of acres of farmland underutilized that they're looking to reinvigorate and bring back on board. And so they're interested in our technology in Poland. Similar in Egypt, similar in Nigeria, similar in Angola. So we have interest from these different countries for this reason. We offer the opportunity to reinvigorate the agricultural industry, and it's almost like a socio-economic program with them. So it's a big picture item, but as I said, when I first planned on coming here, I knew we had the contract with the building product manufacturer, but it was just yesterday I got it in my email that we want you to start supplying in July. Yeah. So I have nowhere to operate from. I have a company formed in the US because I knew it was coming, but there's a number of things that have to be put in place quickly, and we have to capture the opportunity and the other opportunities that come from that. As I said, that's one product. We have interest from other multinationals in OEM, automotive manufacturing, in metal forming, in resource extraction. Our one AirPod, while it will produce about 7,000 tons of product a year, it also offsets 20,000 tons of CO2. Just today, I got an email from one of the multinationals we're speaking of. They spoke about the initiative from Canada now, where the existing price of carbon is $50 a ton. And by 2030, they estimate it's going to be $175 a ton. I'm trying to give the broad view. We only have 3 minutes, but it's a big picture item. We have interest in contracts signed in 4 different countries, and we have interest now in the US from this US affiliate of the Swiss company to bring us here and to give us an anchor client to move out to the US market.
Jess?
The $8 million is to build out,
To build up the US operation?
and you need manufacturing in the US?
Yes.
As well as sales, I assume?
Yes. One of the reasons that the AirPod is, it's set in a 40-foot container. So it's transportable, it's scalable, and we can slave up to 20 of them together, which is what we're doing in one of the African countries that we have a contract with. So you can build it as you grow in the actual industries. So we'll start here in the US with probably 2 AirPods and start to build those contracts.
But it sounds like, is it more likely a financial investor that you're looking for rather than a strategic? Given that it seems like you have a lot of traction already in terms of distribution and
Yes, but a combination of both would be preferable. And the reason is because the building products manufacturer, we were brought to them by an executive from a publicly traded roofing company that said, you know, you're doing this, I think these people are looking for this product. You might be able to make it for them. That's how we got that contract. And so you take that and you look at, like I say, you look at mining companies, you look at utility companies, infrastructure, you look at offshore oil, and all of these have different specific needs and specific ways of capturing those markets. So we do want, investment, but if we could get someone that's well networked in a combination of these, right, that would serve our purposes best.
So I've seen companies in this space in the last couple of years take on strategic investors that you might not have thought of as being interested in the particular product. It's more about the idea, and that they think eventually there might be an intersection between what they're trying to do and what you're doing. So it's, and a good example is a client we have that's a tier 1 automotive supplier. They're investing in things that are, might be tangentially related to electrified mobility eventually, but they're essentially power sources, potential power sources for now, turning refuse from institutions in that industry is an example, where you can't quite connect the dots yet, but there's an interest in it. And it's interesting because the farther off that intersection is, maybe the less that strategic feels like they need to have control rights and rovers and things like that in the short term. Whereas, if there's an immediate partnership or kind of exit acquisition potential, then I see the clause in it.
Our original traction was in Europe, and that was because of the environmental awareness, and that was mostly with oil distributors, because they saw their clientele wanting a more environmentally, more biodegradable and safer product.
I mean, there are a lot of funds
Can we
that
just
are.
speak up a little bit, so we're talking to the people?
Yeah, I mean,
Sure, sir.
there are some funds that are focused on ESG, right? So if that could be an area where an investor is that, they may not be traditional investors, but I think they would be very interested. I mean, the other thing to consider, I don't know if you're break even in terms of profitability or not, you may not want to dilute yourself. I mean, you're looking for a loan or a convert of some sort, so you keep more of your equity. Things to consider. I don't know, if you're positive cash flow, you can pay down debt, and maybe not, you don't need to dilute yourself.
Would be willing to give up equity to the right partner under the right circumstances. It's all a matter of how you structure the deal, right? So it's, those are all possibilities, and the other possibility is to bring the money simply into the U.S. firm, not into the corporate. So it has to work for all parties.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to structure it. So before we get into that, what's the proprietary technology?
It's in the technology itself, in the AirPod. So
What is it? How are you, and what kind of feedstock?
The feedstock is canola, soy, peanut oil,
Okay.
and safflower, sunflower oil.
Safflower, yeah.
Each one has different attributes, or acid profile is
Yeah,
different,
yeah.
so we can use them for different products. Then we amplify them with food-safe additives for particular use. So we use.
What kind of additive?
Well, additives, for instance, that are used in cough lozenges or in Dream Whip, these type of things. When you look at the function of how they actually work, back in 2014, 2015, we're doing the prototyping, and it worked out that they actually were very proficient in delivering the product to the contaminant or to the lubricant. So it's a combination, and that's the proprietary aspect of it. So the AirPod actually, in the AirPod, there's 8 different reactor tanks. Each tank will produce about 3,000 liters a day of individual products or all the same products, and each one have the inputs of these food-grade additives.
Yeah, I think your first group that you need to meet, if you're serious about being here, is the Mass Clean Energy Center. They're about to get $750 million out of the stimulus funds, and we run a couple of their programs, granting programs. They have an equity arm. They wouldn't write the big check, but we could pull a syndicate together for $8 million. It's not going to be hard for something like that. Now, I was at Stanley Ventures demo day, and I got a freebie from a company that was a WD-40, but with
Yes.
seed oil, and I love this stuff. I have it at home. It works brilliantly. So you have competitors.
Yes.
That's why I was asking about your technology, like what's sort of
Well,
what's sort of unique about it. Maybe we should take this offline. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Time's up.
Good.
Yeah.
I have a million questions, and it's great technology, and
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
Appreciate it.
Keep that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, next up is Talkative, and Sean Wilkie is here to talk to that. You're actually going to talk, you're not going to do a recording?
We can do both. I'll time myself to not
All right. Nice to meet everybody. My name is Sean Wilkie. I'm from Halifax. It's really a pleasure to be here today. So thanks so much for hosting and having me here to talk about my company, Talkative. So what Talkative is a platform to help people engage with technology faster. So we all use technology, whether it's on our smartphones or our computers. And several years ago, I stumbled upon an opportunity in veterinary medicine to help speed up the inputs of medical records for those professionals. So since 2019, me and a team that's now grown to about 30 people have developed software, unique artificial intelligence models for veterinary medicine to help them speed up the inputs with this technology. So what did we actually do? We're a dictation platform that works on Mac, PC, soon to be iOS and Android, that allows people to talk to their computer and have their words turn into text as quickly as they say them. And you may think to yourself, well, geez, this is something that a company that lives around here does quite a lot of. And it's very true. Dragon has been in the voice recognition dictation space for about 20 years. We're a new entry. We are capitalized. I met a bunch of people in the room about a year ago, so it's really nice to put faces to names to faces and meet people in person. But what we've done is we've really simplified this to be one button design so that people don't have to learn a new piece of technology. You know, veterinary professionals, medical professionals, which are both in our target market, they don't want to learn another piece of technology. They, in fact, would rather not even use technology to begin with. So we've really simplified the experience, and I'd encourage you to come out and see it after I'm done speaking. Love to show it to you. So it's one button design. Press the button, talk, and have an experience that's reliable and dependable. So they can do that now on Mac or PC, and very soon they'll be able to do it on their iPhone and their Android device. And really, we want to build this ecosystem to allow people to have a very similar, very consistent voice experience when they're working with these technologies, so that they can speed up the way that they interact, the way that they do medical records. So we got lucky, like many companies do, and I know there's lots of founders in here, but the pandemic came along, and we're one of the only companies, I think, that can say that we got really lucky with the pandemic. Everybody bought a puppy, and we grew 600% last year. We went from a team of 3, in 2019, to a team of under 30 today. We've got 700 companies using our software, and we've got some of the biggest customers in the industry. So Mars Pet Health owns about 3,000 veterinary hospitals around the world. We're in our first 120 of those hospitals and deploying in additional hospitals every week. So where we're at on our journey is we're now scaling our business. We are, very laser focused on revenue. We just crossed a big milestone for any software as a service company, hitting $100,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And we're having a lot of fun, and we're solving a lot of really technical problems. So what I want from the audience today, why did I even come? So connections are really valuable. Private equity is fueling veterinary medicine. And it's possible that some of you in the audience know some of these private equity investors that are behind some of these, really, really large checks with a lot of zeros on them that have poured into veterinary medicine. So I'd love any introductions, and we'll be raising capital again. Maybe we won't be. Maybe I'll just get to hold all of the equity that I have and avoid future rounds, but I don't think that's really practical. I think we'll be raising an A round in probably 18 to 24 months. So if you think that after maybe seeing a quick demo of my product and asking me a few questions, you might be able to make an introduction, I'd really welcome it. So thanks so much, and I went over time, but I'm done.
Nice.
You mentioned you're capitalized.
Yep.
Where did the capital come from?
So Click Health, they're the largest digital agency in the healthcare space. So they led our pre-seed round, and then another U.S. investor, Blue or BLU Ventures out of DC.
Okay. I mean, it seems to me that you have a solution. I guess the advantage is that it works better than other
It's
similar
easy,
solutions.
it's efficient,
And it's
it
easy.
works everywhere.
Would seem ripe for acquisition.
Possibly. Yeah, we've already had those calls a couple times.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you're thinking another investment round in 12 to 18 months as opposed
Yeah,
to
I think we're
after?
just getting started. We're having a lot of fun. You know, I've run companies my whole life, and this is the funnest one yet, so I don't want to leave yet. I think that's fair.
Yeah, you got a long way to scale yet.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're just getting started.
Yeah, a million ARR is great, but.
Yeah, we're double that now. I don't
Yeah,
want to
okay.
give it all away. But
Yeah, it's good, it's good, you're, you know, heading the right way, and
Yeah.
that opens up a lot of doors to investors, because there's a pile of growth equity investors that once you get to the 4 or 5 million ARR, it becomes really easy
yeah.
to raise that money at a decent valuation. So, remind me again, the speech-to-text engine is not your own.
It's not ours. Yeah, we've built some built-on. Like we have an AI team now, but we use Google's underlying engine. They're the best in the world,
Yeah.
and so they've given us a lot of advantages, and we have a really close partnership with them.
I already knew the answer to that question, but it was for the rest of it. Yeah, talk about that relationship, because I think.
Yeah, sure. So in 2007, I started another company. It was my first exit called Sheepdog, and we were integrating Google's products for large enterprises all around the world. And through that relationship, I subsequently sold that company. But then when the opportunity presented itself to do something in this area, I went and talked to a couple of my friends and got some introductions and was able to finagle my way into building a technology that really leverages their engine and completes a bunch of the functions and features that they just don't do. They don't build desktop software.
You didn't talk to Google Ventures?
We did, yeah, absolutely.
But
We got a little bit of money from them too.
Yeah, I mean, so your software works with any back office?
Yeah, that's really one of our unique kind of selling propositions is we integrate with every piece of software on the planet. And so not every provider that that is out there or every competitor does that. So regardless of the software or the platform, we work there. And a lot of people really have a hard time wrapping their head around that. But what we've done is built really advanced keyboard replication. So we hijack the keyboard and we work everywhere as the keyboard works.
So like, let's say an operator, they want to move fields, they have to.
Yeah,
software
so-
knows about it, or?
Yeah, so typically right now it's kind of manual, but the more we move towards touchscreens and different devices, we have a dictation device that will allow you to advance to the next field. So we didn't have to build that, we just leveraged another building block.
I think that's very powerful, because I was thinking every time you go to a doctor, they're using a different system.
Yeah, that's how we were able to excel so quickly in veterinary medicine. There's 29 kind of main practice management systems, and we integrate with all of them, and they all like us because we make it easier for them to sell their software.
And the code's all proprietary?
Yeah. Yeah, we get the typer engine, the stuff that we built, we've got a lot of IP in there.
Is the round still open? That's what everybody in the room's thinking.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Nice job. All right, next up is Mycele. Mark? Over to you.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here in the great city of Boston. Thank you, Scott and Shane, for putting this together. It's terrific. John, Loie, Vineet, thank you very much. Very grateful that you're here today listening to us. Really excited to tell you a little bit about Mycele. My name is Mark Smithies. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Mycele Delivery Systems, and we're revolutionizing the cannabis sector. To understand the problem here, you need to first understand that we're clearly focused on extraction and formulation. These are two stops in the cannabis value chain that are expensive, only marginally effective, and where there's been little innovation. So the cannabis sector today wastes billions of dollars on processing cannabis and ends up with a suboptimal product for customers and patients. The problem is that these compounds are oily and they cannot be dissolved in water. Oil and water don't mix. But this is essential for the production of all non-combustible cannabis products. So to overcome this barrier, current technologies rely on solvents such as ethanol, hydrocarbons, and supercritical CO2 for extraction. Solvents are volatile and dangerous and harmful to the environment, while supercritical CO2 based extraction is considered more environmentally friendly. It requires expensive equipment, takes longer time, and requires a skilled technician due to the complexity. And so that limits the implementation of this method. And once cannabis is extracted, once the extract is produced, rather, the oily nature of the compound results in low absorption and bioavailability for the patient and consumer. Edibles can take 1 to 4 hours to work, and less than 10% of cannabinoids are absorbed. Think about that. Literally 90% of the active ingredient is flushed down the toilet. While some technologies have addressed the limited bioavailability, they have significant compromises, including slow onset of action, complex and expensive manufacturing, an unpleasant taste, a short shelf life, and concerns associated with the extensive use of chemicals such as polyethylene glycols, known as PEGs, and the inability to produce some commonly used dosage forms, tablets, capsules, patches, for example, you don't see in the sector. So where does Micella fit in? Well, Micella is based on 15 years of research out of the University of Toronto, and it's resulted in a revolutionary water-based extraction technology that we call Norex, and a next generation drug delivery technology that we call O2W, oil to water. So Norex is a water-based extraction process using proprietary extraction media that can be applied to fresh cut or dried hemp and cannabis. The time and cost associated with the traditional process is eliminated, so there's no expensive equipment required, leading to significant cost reductions. There's no use of chemicals, it's environmentally friendly with a competitive yield. The O2W, the oil to water, is a proprietary drug delivery formulation platform which significantly enhances the solubility, bioavailability, potency, stability, and time to onset of action of cannabinoids and other fat-soluble compounds without compromising on the safety, the sustainability, and performance. So here too, we eliminate the cost of the expensive equipment, the need for specialized technicians. It is a self-microemulsifying drug delivery system. Add to the water and stir, and that's literally it. In short, we allow for significantly better products for patients and consumers and a significantly lower production cost. How am I doing for time? About a minute left. Okay. Well, let me tell you that the cannabis market globally is huge. That's not going to surprise anybody, and it's growing. I read this morning that the Safe Banking Act is maybe going to pass before the midterms here. Not sure if that's going to be true, but certainly we're headed in that direction. It's a growing market. I think the other piece that I'd like to share with you is our traction. So we are pre-revenue, but only just. We have one white label deal signed. We have 2 major companies, one in the US and one in Canada, where we're finalizing the agreements. We're in the testing phase with a dozen or so other companies, and the deal with the contract manufacturer has been signed. And so our short-term priorities then are ramping up commercialization, conducting a human study, not a regulatory requirement, by the way. That's more for marketing than it is for regulatory. Establishing a manufacturing footprint and working on a pilot scale validation of the extraction technology in Norex. So to achieve these objectives, we're looking for $2.3 million and strategic partners. And so our commitment to our investors is to leverage the world-class expertise, our proprietary best-in-class technologies, and the growing global market to generate revenue with a high profit margin. Thank you for your time and attention this afternoon.
The potential passage of the Safe Banking Act notwithstanding is there a perceived benefit to having a US subsidiary as opposed to running the business out of Canada?
We perceive that there is a
operational
benefit to have a US subsidiary. Love your comments on that. It's one of the discussions we're having. Do we need a US subsidiary? What is the right timing? How important it is to investors looking at us that we have a US address and a US facility. So I'm gonna throw that question right back at you guys, if
I mean,
may.
I think given the industry, you might not rush for that from a legal perspective. I think the venture capital community has gotten a lot more comfortable in recent years with investing directly in Canada, and particularly if there's a benefit from a regulatory or financial perspective in doing so. So I might, think hard about that one.
Interesting.
And maybe look for dollars that aren't going to force you into a Delaware corp. Politically, you're right. I mean, we're advancing, but who knows? There's still kind of tripwires and
Right.
things to think about. in that
Lots
regard.
of tripwires, yeah. Yes.
I guess for
Thank
me
you.
I wanted to, kind of your business model, so do you wanna go direct to consumer or do you wanna be behind?
Yeah,
the
great question. So it's a no. We're ancillary to the cannabis industry. So we're not producing any product. We're helping either a white label company or a cannabis company produce their products. So if they want a gummy which is more potent, faster onset of action. The faster onset of action is really the big thing with edibles. And we can speed that up to the point where it's almost the same as inhalation.
And do you license your technology to them? And
License the
they
technology and a revenue sharing model, exactly, yeah.
What is this technology?
So the technology is the self microemulsifying drug delivery system. So that's the technology, it's the ingredients which allow that self microemulsifying. That's the IP, that's the 15 years of research. Food-based ingredients.
So it's a materials technology.
It's a materials technology, yes, yeah, both the
But the
founders are.
extraction process is the same, you're just adding this material?
It's a slightly different process, it's a slightly different technology, but it is related. Yeah, the two chemical engineers are the founders of the company.
Yeah, so I was an early investor in this space, former employee of mine, started a company. He's actually very knowledgeable, so
Mhm.
at some point we just connect you. I think he's now running Berkshire Roots,
Okay,
which is, all the way to retail,
yes, okay,
farm
yes.
to retail kind of thing, but yeah, I mean, there are a couple of extraction labs here in town. I know I've visited, a couple of them. You'd be surprised how advanced they are.
Mm-hmm,
It's no different than a pharmabiologics lab.
Yes.
And the people who are running it, had that level of chemistry, knowledge, so.
it's
So
very.
you have the people here who know how to apply this, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you need to set up a US subsidiary. I think I would just be an ingredient supplier, the people here.
Okay, that's great feedback, thank you, because that is a strategic question for us, is to how we approach that, so that's.
Yeah, I think the real question is if there's a consumer differentiation here of, how quickly it uptakes on edibles, then somebody might want a, 6-month, 12-month advantage,
Yes,
into the
exclusivity
market.
on
Yeah,
the
and
technology,
so,
yes.
So I don't know I'm a little out of touch, but there's some bigger players that are more national. I mean, I'd go talk to some of them than try to just go for some small local players.
We've done a bit of both. We've taken the attitude that a customer is a customer, so, and we seem to be making traction on both sides, but we're certainly open to the concept of.
Now, what about
selling.
in Canada? Are you not getting traction in Canada?
Oh, yeah, yes. So one of the big companies we're talking to is Canadian. One of the big ones is US. The white label company is Canadian. So yeah, we're getting traction on both sides of the borders, but the commercialization effort is very, very new. So, but we're pleased with where we're going so far, but we feel to take the next step to get that commercialization really kick-started, as well as doing some of the continued research on the extraction, because that's not quite as far advanced. That's where we're looking for the two.
It was impossible to raise money for here in the US because of not having national laws. And in the end, this company,
It is non-plant touching, I don't know if that,
yeah, it didn't make a difference, ours wasn't either, but.
Yeah,
But
okay.
in the, it was actually the guys, some of the original guys that did Keurig.
Yeah.
So we created the Keurig of vaping, right?
okay, yes.
So dose management
Mhm, yes.
and all sort of, and it was really good, it was a great product. Could I get it funded? I mean, we ended up raising $3-4 million from individuals, but
Right,
couldn't
but
get
not
institutional
the traditional
funding.
VCs.
So we ended up actually selling out to one of the producers in Canada. I had penny stock in some company in Canada.
Okay, okay, I'll let you know how it's doing.
So you might be better off raising money in Canada.
Okay. Okay, a couple of really great pieces of advice. Am I allowed to take questions?
Sure, yeah, you got 3 minutes.
So I've known, we chatted earlier, but I've also thought you've got in your deck here, it's a drug delivery technology, so you need to be really careful as you go forward your strategy, the price point for delivering drug, for having an excipient, something that's going to deliver drugs that otherwise won't make it to the market, which is what this has potential for,
Yes.
is hugely different from the price point that you're going to get for cannabis delivery.
Yes.
And if you go down the cannabis market, you might actually shoot yourself in the foot with the price point that you could charge for the pharmaceuticals. So just something you need to think about as you develop your strategy.
It's interesting, and the strategy, and you're right, this is applicable to pharmaceuticals, it's applicable to nutraceuticals, agriculture, food. This is really a platform technology. One of the reasons we focus on cannabis is because of the I wouldn't say easy regulatory, but easier regulatory. The time to market was faster. It's a big growing market. The need was huge. As I said, the innovation in this space is almost nil. So, but it's a really, really good point.
So what other oral bioavailability do you need to speed up? I mean, most things now become effective,
So,
definitely within a few
so
minutes.
I'm working with a company now that has got 10% bioavailability for its drug. This drug might work, might not. The cost of goods is huge because you're throwing away 90%.
Oh, so it's not speed, but percentage.
So it's either speed or
Yeah.
very few drugs need speed. Headache, you need
Yeah.
speed. Heart attack, you need speed. But
Allergy, you need speed.
yeah, but there's a lot of drugs that are out there for chronic diseases. You don't need speed. You need the ability to get the drug in there in a cost-effective way, and poor bioavailability.
And is that what
killer.
this platform is?
It has potential.
This will enhance bioavailability. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
And my concern is if you go down one route and you get set in that, you'll be perceived as with low margins. Why are you going to charge me over here for that? So it's something you need to think about in your strategy.
Yeah. It's fair comment. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, last but certainly not least, and I still can't say this, maybe you'll help us figure this out, Doug.
Canic.
Canic, all right.
Canic DX.
It actually has a meaning,
Yes, it means a snowflake in Upton.
okay?
Yeah.
It has another meaning in Texas.
Yeah. Yes, another meeting there. Okay, thank you very much, Scott, Shane, Sean, and panel, and audience. I'm gonna give you a little mind experiment here, or just a little challenge to get you going here, since I'm the last one presenting for the afternoon. We've all been engaged a lot in diagnostics, probably a lot more than we thought we ever would be. How many specific technologies can you think of? So just think about this now, specific technologies in diagnostics, specific and different, okay? So think about that. I'll try and remind me if I forget to come back to that at the end, because what we're doing at Canic DX is we are trying to create another novel diagnostic platform. And they've only occurred at about 1 in every 20 years that you get a truly novel platform. So my name is Doug Ross. I'm here on behalf of the founders of Canic DX. I'm part of the leadership team as well. In terms of the problem we're solving, it's really to create an at-home test that's easy, that's reliable, that's accurate, and that is connected. So that's the main vision that we have here. The main vision of the founder was to have an at-home
diagnostic test, starting in hormones, and we validated in hormones. But that's one way to stand up the technology, and that's the sort of the longer term vision, because it requires more than what I've put up here in terms of investment to get to that particular longer term vision. So we are looking for a $5 million investment or introductions to somebody who would be interested in getting behind this novel platform. But it can be stood up in other ways as well. So point of care is another one, and working as a biodefense. So to give you a little